This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Thank you for making our show a possibility.
Thank you.
Making us sane.
Welcome to If These Ovaries Could Talk. I'm Jamie.
I'm Robin.
And we're your hosts.
We sure are.
Love is love if you don't have to make a family by taking a traditional route. If these ovaries could talk, you would say.
How do I get the sperm through custom?
I am a lesbian.
So gay.
So gay. We need to tell our stories.
It's not your nuclear family anymore. It's not just your mom and dad thing.
We're not ruining these little humans.
It's not for the gay reason. Just because we stay.
Here we are again.
Here we
Me
are.
and you.
Here we are. Just two more. This one and one more, Jamie.
It's still the
This
old
is-
ovaries.
It's still our old dusty ovaries. They're still kicking out some eggs like this.
Oh God, that's like not ew.
More like
Ew. Oh my
because they're
God.
old.
It's not okay. It's not okay. Oh my God.
Okay. It's a little okay.
I don't know if that was
Ugh.
okay. But hi guys. It's so nice to have you all here again.
Yes.
I want to let you all know because Robin's her new job has literally started and she's super busy. We had to batch record these last 3 episodes. So I know in the last episode, last Monday,
This
this
is like a continuation of a TV show. In the last episode.
I know. In the last episode, I asked you all, please give me your feedback and email me and all the stuff about how you want these ovaries to go forward. But full disclosure here, that episode hasn't even aired yet while we're recording.
That hasn't
right now.
happened. This is like a time loop.
This is like
That hasn't happened yet.
So
in
I
our
haven't
world.
gotten your feedback, even though by the time this episode airs, I will have your feedback, and I'm sure it's amazing feedback, and I'm enjoying reading it all or hearing it all. But I don't have it yet.
In fairness, it's going to take you a minute to implement any feedback. So
Well, no.
I
Yeah.
think slow your roll.
But just so you know, I do plan on being fully transparent about this whole transition. And so please just make sure you're following
As opposed to hiding
ovaries.
it.
Yeah. Well, obviously. But like I'm going to talk about it with you all and I'm going to ask for your feedback and your help and guidance in this and probably cry a little bit. A lot, maybe, like a lot. But like, if
Let's
you're
try not to cry too much.
it's too late. But if you're not following our social media, go there and follow because I'll be talking about all of this on the social for faux show.
And I will be just crying in a regular day job. And you still have to go to my social at Real Rob Hops also because I'm going to miss you all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hit it to our newest Patreon members. We got 2 new people coming in.
Thank you guys so much.
Jenny H.
And
I can't say, there's no way I can say this last one, so I'll just let you do it.
Well,
Hilborn Birch. Emma Hilborn Birch.
Emma Hilborn Birch. That's a cool last name.
It is. That sounds like an author.
Yeah.
Jenny
Emma-
H. Jenny
Jenny
H.
H.
sounds like she's a doctor and she doesn't really want you to know more about her than that. It's just Jenny H.
Thank you guys so much. We love you. We really love you.
And if you also want to help make this amazing content for LGBTQ families, you can join the Patreon community and do just that. You're going to do a good thing, which we always say, and you're going to get some bonus content. And at the gestational carrier level, you're going to get video interviews, most episodes dropped a day earlier. Just got to head over to patreon.com/ovariestalk to join.
yeah, and now is a really good time to do that. Really.
Sure is.
Seriously. It's a really great time. All right, let's talk about our guest. Robin, you
Oh
want to
my
intro
God.
this guest because this
Oh
is
my God.
also a friend of yours.
I just met Lynn through a contact of a friend of mine, Tom, and she is amazing. Her name's
Mhm.
Lynn Bader, and she's an executive producer over at the WNED. She's doing the public work, which is important. She's a mom of twins, and she made it through kids, a divorce, new love, a big career, through it all. I mean,
She's done a lot. She's done it all. And she's a firecracker. And I really
Oh,
enjoyed talking
we
with Lynn.
we laughed so hard during this.
Yeah, Lynn is fun. So you guys are going to really enjoy this interview. So let's just, you know what? Let's just get to it because
No,
it's fun.
hold on. I practiced this with Helen.
Okay,
Helen?
let's see.
Okay, Helen, remember, we're working up to doing the job, right? You got it? Roll the tape.
She's really trying to get Helen to step it up for me.
Helen?
She's
No,
not gonna
she's
do
not.
it.
She's not gonna do it.
She's not going to do it.
All right,
I
you're just going to have to
appreciate-
fire her.
I appreciate the effort. I'm never going to fire Helen. Helen will be with us forever. I just might have to get a real assistant.
I was going to say, my biggest fear is she wants to come with me to my freelance job, and I'll be like, oh, sorry, there's no space. No room, Helen.
No, she really believes in this content, so I think she's going to stick around with Overy.
Well, we're going to be fighting over Helen. That's hilarious. Hi, Lynn. Welcome.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Jamie.
This is so exciting to have
I
you.
know. As soon as I became your new number one fan, I was like, I don't have time to listen to all 100 and God knows how many episodes. But, I had a story I could relate.
In our email
Oh,
exchange, she was
wow.
like, here's my story. And I was like, yes, let's have a meeting. And also, please be on the podcast.
Yes. I love
And
it.
then I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I had to talk to my family and kind of clear it with them. And
Well, that's the responsible thing
they
to
were
do.
all good.
'Cause You've
Yes.
got older
They were on
kids. It's
board.
like no longer your story. It's their
Mhm.
story too.
Oh, yeah. And about, those pre-teenage years is when they start to let you know. It is
Yeah.
no longer your
Right.
social media. It is,
They get photo approval.
They have
they get
opinions.
photo approval.
My
Yes.
God. I'm not there yet. I'm so far from there,
Oh.
Lynn. I can't even. I'm scared of this. I'm so scared because
Right.
I have laid it all out there.
Well, I thought I was
They're
doing
gonna hate
fine.
me.
And one day I went on Facebook and I made a post about my son. And it was, it was one of those days that we have as moms where we just want to go running and screaming from the house. And so I make this post and it's funny and whatever. And a colleague of mine sent me a private message. Now he has an older son and he said,
Hey.
you might want to back off a bit, like cut your kids some
Uh-oh.
slack and maybe not post it. And it was that
Oh.
moment that I thought, oh,
But I love that
Uh-oh.
your colleague wasn't just like telling you not to post. They were also being like, hey, ease up on your kid, which is also like, hey, you stay in your lane. Okay.
I know exactly. Yeah.
Oh
You
my
come walk in
goodness.
my shoes. You
Yeah,
haven't been
yeah.
in my shoes in years.
right.
Come
Mind
walk
your
in my shoes.
business.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Elevator
This-
pitch.
if you can't tell, this is going to be a chatty episode, which we love.
She just moved us
She did.
along.
She's
I
a
love it.
producer.
Lynn was like, okay,
She's a
elevator
producer.
pitch. Let's go.
Okay. On your mark, get set, go.
Hi, I am Lynn and I am from Buffalo. And I'm the proud mom of two 17, almost 18-year-old children. And it started a long time ago when I knew I wanted to be a mom at the age of 10, but I never imagined that my story was going to take the turn it took in terms of my fertility and then figuring out that I was going to be super efficient and have two kids at one time.
Woo.
Yeah.
Done in 25 seconds, Lynn.
Efficient. So we got a lot to dive in here. We take
Yeah.
a collective deep breath and get going.
Ready?
All right.
Okay.
All right. So tell
Wow,
us
okay.
about, I mean, you knew you wanted to have kids at 10, but obviously it might have taken a turn there. Was there a lesbian thing that popped in there?
There was a little lesbian thing that popped in there. And so while I saw myself always having kids, I never pictured myself married. Right. So, and I
Right,
always
right.
wondered, like now I look at that and I think, because married then meant to a guy. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
course.
I could never see that for myself. And so that should have been a red flag.
Mhm.
All the girl crushes should have been a red flag.
Mhm.
The fact that, in most of my school pictures, I look like a little boy and dirty with a baseball bat in my hand and a hammer in the other. Like those should have been red flags.
Hammer.
A tool belt.
A tool belt in the other. Yes.
But if you don't see it mirrored back to you, you don't have any idea that that's a possibility.
And when you grow up in a very sort of a strict conservative Catholic household,
Mm.
when you do see it, and you saw it very little in the media, it was always this odd, demented, strange thing that
Yeah. Yes.
you don't want to be associated with that. And so
Yep.
I would say, I did not come out until I was 27.
Mm.
Wow.
But back in the late 80s and early 90s, that wasn't uncommon.
That was the
Yeah.
way it was. I was 22. Like, and
Okay.
it was
Mhm.
90s, early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 22 too.
22. And I wish, I look at my kids today and I look at the world that we sort of live in, and I constantly am sort of analyzing how far have we come really, and how much further do we have to go, and all that kind of stuff. But I knew I wanted children. And so thankfully I did not get pregnant with any of the other relationships that I did have before then. Whew.
They were not gay relationships.
They were not gay relationships. And I love all the guys I dated. Like, I'm still friends with most of them. So,
Mhm.
You still do
Uh,
some construction work with most of them.
well, maybe, I don't know. At least we're friends on Facebook and they sort of see my life. And
Mhm.
so when I did get together with my partner, at the time, she's no longer my partner. She came from a kind of a troublesome childhood and said, I don't want kids. I can't, I
Oh.
don't think I'll be a good mom. Like, I don't think I can do this. And I
Mhm.
thought, okay, we didn't talk about this.
Oh.
Why did we talk about this? This was silly. And I said, look, I want to be a mom. I've always wanted to be a mom, and I really just want to be a mom. And why can't we? So she finally sort of came on board.
And you were, how old were you at this? This is 27 when you first came out. Did you come out
Yes.
with this person?
Yes.
Like this person was the catalyst
This
for
was
coming
the
out.
catalyst for coming out. Yes.
Mhm,
There's
mhm.
more that we will get into regarding my coming out.
Again, a producer. She's
yes.
teasing act
She's-
2.
I'm
I know.
teasing you.
She's got the storyline all thought through. Okay.
We just
Yeah,
have to be here,
so-
Jamie. That's it.
I know.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
it's
I'm gonna
fine.
sit and listen.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I was probably in my 30s at this point. Well, yeah, I know I was. I was getting up there around 34 when my ex and I were ready to take this step. And I knew that I was going to go first because I was like 4 years older than her. She had no interest in carrying a child whatsoever. And I was fine with that. She was like, look, you go ahead, push. You can, I know you can't see me because we're on a podcast, but Lynn, you go ahead. You tell me how it goes. Right. And,
Godspeed.
yeah, exactly. And we decided that when we weighed all of our options financially, there's no way. Like I've heard some of your episodes where I'm going to have my egg and you're going to take my egg and where it's going to be blah, blah, blah. It's going to be genetically
Mhm,
both our
mhm.
children. And there's this big hang up about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we said, yeah, we'll never have kids because that's like thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's just not going to happen.
Mhm.
So I was artificially inseminated and we went through a large sperm bank in, I think, Boston.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
That was a fun process.
She just cheers us.
She cheers us
I just, yes,
for the button on the segment. I love it.
right, exactly. And so I was artificially inseminated. What do you want to know about that?
Well, it was IVF or IUI. It was
Mhm.
IVF.
No,
IUI.
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 Yeah, it was IUI. Mhm.
And the picking the donor, was that difficult?
That was really hard. Like
Yeah.
you go on their website, like on their database, and you're like, oh my God, where do we even begin to
Yeah.
choose?
Mhm.
And we wanted the donor to have my features. I had 3 basic requirements. The guy had to be tall,
Mhm.
he had to be thin, and he had to be smart.
Okay.
Because I
probably a
am
lot in there.
short and overweight. And I was like, we all want smart kids, right?
Yeah,
Like that's a
yeah, that's a
no-brainer.
basic.
So, right. So we've narrowed it down and we got what they call long profiles from
Mhm.
10 different donors.
So you paid extra money
Paid
for the
extra
longer
for the
profiles.
longer profiles for 10
Mhm.
guys. And I remember sitting and looking over all of them. They were spread out on the bed. And like we were looking at them all. And we literally, like one by one, no, this guy beats this guy. So this guy goes over here. And then this guy up here is great. This guy goes over here. And we had the final 4. And I still have those long profiles in a file. And you can see on the
Wow.
top, it says final 4 in black Sharpie underlined.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
And so the donor that we ended up choosing was like 6 foot tall, dirty blonde hair, hazel eyes, wavy hair, like 170 pounds. And he had a law degree and an architecture degree.
Ooh.
Ticked all
But-
the boxes.
But
Oh.
he was blind as a bat. He couldn't see. His family had terrible eyesight. And like we struggled
Oh,
over this.
Interesting.
Because
Are
you
we sure
because you
this is the
nitpick
guy?
every
Yeah,
little
everything.
thing. The search for Superman. That's what it is.
It is. Yeah, exactly. And so we chose him and he's an identifiable donor.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Meaning
Right.
they can contact him at 18
Yes.
and he can choose to
Yes.
respond.
What's interesting is your kids are about to be 18, which we haven't really talked to a lot of people in that place.
Mhm.
Are your kids and they're twins? Are they interested in, and are they both coming from the same place in identifying him?
I think that I think they are interested.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was funny because I was talking to my daughter the other day and we were joking about how they were going to be 18 and how, there's some things that they still do and they act 10. Like, how have you not figured out yet that blah, blah, blah. You're going to be 18 in 2 months. And when are you going to figure this out? And she says, I'm going to get to vote. I'm going to be able to vote when I'm 18. Huge. I think it's the biggest
Huge.
thing about becoming 18 is that you finally
Yeah.
have some political voice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, hopefully I'll have my driver's license because she's been lagging on that one. And I might be going away to college. and I get to try to contact my donor.
Wow.
Like that was one of the
Oh.
things.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do they know any siblings, donor siblings?
So no, we don't know.
Okay.
I have not gone down that road.
Okay.
I've listened to other shows where, and I have friends. As a matter of fact, their pediatrician is gay, has a wife, they have kids, and they have gone that route where they have gone to these like sibling reunions where everybody gets together. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
Okay.
If I get
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you might
And
not.
you might
And I
not.
might not.
And it might be for them
Yeah.
to do. Like they're about to be 18.
But,
it's their journey.
Yeah. But I feel like you have a right. You did not choose to be artificially inseminated into your lesbian mother. That was not your choice. You know what I mean? Like you just didn't make that decision. And I think it really came from a place where I'm adopted and my ex-partner was also adopted.
Oh.
Ah.
And when I was 21, I found my birth mother.
Ooh.
Oh.
And so it was just always really, really important to me that
Yeah.
they have that option at least
Yeah.
available to them.
Can we talk about the parallels or the differences between your adoption story and then
Mhm.
your kids' donor conceived story?
Yeah. So my adoption story, like I'm adopted, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and 3 of us are adopted. So I remember seeing my mother pregnant for the very first time when I was like 9.
Oh.
Yeah. That was not how kids came to our
Yeah,
house.
they just
It was
showed up.
Somebody just dropped them off.
Like a puppy.
And I had 2 foster brothers as well. So
Wow.
of my siblings, my brother has chosen not to find his biological parents, and my sister found her biological mother, and it was not a good reunion.
Right.
So
Oh.
I was very blessed and very lucky that my mother, and she ultimately earned the title. I did find
Wow.
her, I was 21, and it was kind of a whirlwind kind of a thing for me, but it provided that closure. And I always wanted to look, right? I always wanted to find her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I am still, very close to that family, my birth family and my adopted family.
Mhm.
And there was a big pothole in the road on that journey. When I came out, my birth mother and I stopped talking for a number of years. Yeah, she was not cool.
Because not only
Wow.
did you have to deal with now your family, you have to deal with your biological, you have even more people to have to come out
I had
to.
more family
Yeah.
to deal with, to come
And
out
more
to,
like
yeah.
opportunities for loss.
Yes.
Yeah. And so she did not handle it well. But, I think the way it comes full circle is when I decided that I was going to have a family and I got pregnant and I was carrying the twins, I reached back out to my mother and said, look, can we just please bury whatever hatchets we have going on? And it's been a number of years. Can we be grown-ups here? Because you're going to have grandkids. And I really want them to know you and I want them to be in your life and vice versa. And my kids had the opportunity to become super close to her.
Oh.
And yeah, she passed away a few years ago, but
I'm
it was,
sorry.
no, but it was like, for me, it was the best possible outcome to be able to show her that the decision she made so many years ago was the right decision at the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that we could come full circle.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
cry.
That's so
Okay.
wonderful.
You just make me want to cry.
Yeah.
How about how your your family? I don't know what do you call them?
Yeah.
Your adoptive family. Your family.
My
They're your
family. Yeah, they're my family.
Yeah. How were they about your origin story? And were they really open from the start? How did that all pan out? And did it dictate the way you raised your
100%.
children?
100%. I think they treated the whole thing with a lot of respect and dignity. And so I remember on my 18th birthday, my parents sat me down and they were like, okay, so you're 18 now and you can do whatever you want. Here is your information. Here is what we know about your birth mother.
Was that the first time you were seeing the information?
It was
Or-
the first time I was seeing the information. I grew up knowing I was adopted. Like
Right.
that was that. And that is a struggle for kids. Adopted kids, they have baggage.
Yeah.
They just
Well, there's a
inherently
loss.
have baggage.
There's trauma.
There's an inherent trauma and there is this void
Uh-huh.
of the unknown.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And kids that comes from families like ours will often have that similar void.
Yeah.
Like it's just something we all have to deal with as parents, right? But literally all they had on her was like the size of my cell phone. It was like a 3x5 card.
Right.
Here's what we
Wow.
know.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Wow.
okay, where's the rest?
Yeah. Like I was really expecting So I'm
Yeah.
a folder, perhaps?
Yeah, this is it. This is
Wow.
it. But they were super. And I remember after I found her, she came to where I lived at the time. I mean, I was living at home and stuff like that. So she came and she met my parents. And ultimately, my parents went down to where she lives. And, the sides of the family got to meet each other. And that was really, that was kind of cool. I think I will never know what that must have been like, or I didn't know what that must have been like until I had kids of my own.
Yeah.
To have my two mothers, one who raised me, one who birthed me,
Yeah.
standing in the same room together,
Yeah.
right? So it did dictate, like, an identifiable donor was one of those non-negotiables, like when you're buying a house, right?
Yeah.
Non-negotiable has to be an identifiable
Yeah.
donor.
Right.
And, my ex-partner ultimately found the location of her mother, but her mother had already passed. And this actually just happened recently. I think it was about, also preserving the notion that, no matter how your children come into the world, the people that raise them are the people who are who their parents are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So my kids, I think, have 3 parents. Like, I birthed them and raised them. My ex was in their life, or still is in their life, but was, in there during those first few years until they were about 6. And then my current wife came in, like the saint that she is, when they were preteens and said, yeah, I'll try this out.
God bless her.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the thread a little
Yeah.
bit of where you
Yeah, sure.
you picked your donor, and then
Yep.
it sounds like you got pregnant pretty darn easily with 2.
Well, okay. So I had never
There's a
had
lot
regular
more in
periods
there
in my
that you
life. I just sort of glossed over. Yeah. So I was never regular. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
So, as we know, as lesbian folk, we have to go to this a doctor and say, so I want to have a kid.
Mhm.
So my health insurance was great because I'd had these irregular periods. And so there was a lot of testing that had to be done anyway. And I ended up going on, there's one drug, I can't remember the name of it now, that's very popular. A lot of women go on it.
Clomid.
Yes. And it did wacky things for me.
Yes.
Really?
I was visual. Yeah. So like visual disturbances and stuff. So I was on it a
What?
couple of months. Yes.
Wow.
I would look at the vertical blinds and then I would look back, and like I would look, and the vertical blinds would be animating. Like,
What?
it was really, really strange. So I called my
Whoa.
doctor and he said, all right, look, we need to get you on something else. I'm doing this trial with a doctor friend of mine
That's
in
fun.
Canada. Yeah.
It's fun to hear.
In Canada. And I'm in Buffalo. So like Canada's like literally, I can almost see it from my office window.
Mhm.
And so we're going to send you over to that doctor. I'm going to call him. He's going to write you a script for something called Femera.
Uh-huh. I know
You guys
Femera.
familiar with Femera, right?
Yes.
And
think
it's a
I was
breast-
prescribed it.
Yeah. It's a breast cancer drug.
Yes.
That got me regular. Right.
Oh.
And so, you know how they test you. You feel like you just get tested to death.
Mm-hmm.
But then they pick the day and they say, all right, they call me up. Lynn, we got your lab results. You need to come in on Sunday. Sunday's your day. We're going to inseminate you and let's see how it goes. Well, I had a shoot on Sunday.
I'm a very busy businesswoman.
So I was producing a documentary on Fort Niagara, which is like 45 minutes north of here. And we literally had planned this shoot day for months. It involved reenactors. It involved like
Jesus.
30 people in the woods, and we were shooting off muskets and cannonballs and stuff. And I just said, can we do it on Saturday? And the doctor says, well, but Sunday's your day. And I said, yeah, but can we do it on Saturday? And they said, we will schedule you for the last appointment on Saturday, like 5:00 at night, And my partner and I show up and we were the last ones in. They're ready to turn the lights off. The janitor's waiting. Like, can we hurry this up, please? And I go in and I was artificially inseminated on Saturday evening. And it was just like, okay, this is what we do. We'd been through all of this. And all day Sunday, I'm sitting there with all those reenactor men,
Cannons.
guns ablazing.
Muskets a shooting.
And all I can think is, I might be pregnant right now.
Yeah,
I had
totally.
that same exact feeling. I remember after the insemination sitting on a park bench and being like, there's sperm in there. And I was like, that's so
Yes,
weird. I was like,
yes.
so weird.
I could be getting pregnant right now.
Well,
you know, and then the
Shannon's
director would
going
look
off.
at me and go, Lynn, are we ready to shoot the next scene? Oh, yeah, okay.
You're like, I'm busy with the miracle of life right now. Thank you very much.
You have no idea.
I'm
There's so
contemplating
much more
things.
going on inside me right now than
I'm creating a human.
Two humans.
Exactly.
Creating two humans.
and
Two
and I
humans.
didn't know that at the time. So literally, like, you know, a number of days later, they test you to see if you're pregnant because they test you. And I was 35 at the time. Yes, I was 35. So I was in this like high risk group, right? And I say that with quotes because we all know what
Geriatric.
that's like.
They call it
Yeah, we were
geriatric.
geriatric pregnant women.
Mhm.
And we did an ultrasound and they were looking for a dot.
Uh-huh.
And it was during the middle of the workday. So I had to leave work. And all my girlfriends here at work were like, oh, let us know how it goes. We're going to pray for dots. We're going to pray for dots. And I was like, okay, that's great. So I go and we have the ultrasound and my ex is standing there and I'm laying there. And the lady doing the ultrasound says, okay, well, I think I see a dot.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, no way. That was the first time. We had bought 6 months worth of tries.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. A minute later, she says, and here's another dot.
Wow.
And you were like,
Yeah.
excuse me?
What? And my ex starts to cry because she's always wanted twins and blah, 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 blah.
Aww.
And I started to cry because I was scared. Can I say shitless
Yeah,
on this
you
You
podcast?
sure can.
I was so frightened. Immediately, I thought, how am I going to do this? But so anyway, so I go back to work and I've got my little ultrasound pictures and my girlfriends are waiting in the conference room upstairs.
Oh.
And they were like, Lynn, how did it go? How did it go? And I come in, my one friend Gwen says, so did they find a dot? And I looked at them and I held up the picture and I went, they found dots.
They did say they were praying for dots.
They
And my
did.
best friend Wendy said, oh my God, look at you, you overachiever.
Yeah.
And I just, I said, I think I'm having twins. Like, I think the next few weeks are going to be really funky. And, you know, you don't want to be spreading the news too long, but they say I'm having twins.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Holy cow.
I know, it was crazy.
Oh.
It was crazy. And, you know, when you have twins, your doctor takes you out at like 28 weeks or some craziness. And I had to tell my bosses much earlier than I really had wanted to.
Mhm.
But we were just, you know, we were super thrilled and I was super thrilled. And I have a picture of myself like 3 days before they were born in front of the house, like side profile
Yeah.
shot. And I was a house. I myself was a house. I was so huge. But I ended up having at 29 weeks, I went into premature labor.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they stopped it, but I ended up in the hospital for 3 weeks.
Yeah, because you want to
Trying-
get to what, 32, 34 weeks?
You
They
want
really
to
wanna
get at least,
Yeah.
yeah.
For the lungs.
So it,
And for a go-getter
Yeah.
like you, that's torture, huh?
oh my gosh. So it was hard. I had to learn. I really had to learn what they meant by bed rest.
Oh, God.
But you know what they do? I don't know if either of you have gone through this or whatever, but the first thing they do, the first day I'm there, scared to death and thankful that I haven't had these kids, they gave them the shots for their lungs and all that kind of stuff, is they wheel me up to the NICU and they show me what a 2-pound baby looks like.
Oh.
And I was,
It's like
yes,
scare tactics.
Oh, my God.
yes. And
Because they
so
want you to
immediately,
stay put.
yeah, I said, I will do whatever you tell me to do.
Oh.
I will not veer from your plan. I will follow your directions 100%. And I ended up staying in the hospital for 3 weeks
Wow.
to get to 32 weeks. And then the insurance company said, this is a perfectly healthy woman sitting in our hospital bed. We're not going to pay for that no more.
Oh, insurance.
And they
Oh,
sent me home.
insurance.
Yeah. So I managed 4 more weeks at home.
Wow.
Wow.
So, but you were on bed rest for like 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah, that was brutal. I missed my own baby shower.
Oh.
My baby shower was scheduled for the day that I ended up in the hospital, and my ex had to go. It was right here in the building, actually, all my family and friends. And, you know, I think back on that day now, and people called me on the phone and stuff, but like, I wish that we had, like, I don't even know if Skype was around. Like,
Yeah.
I wish there would have been a way. Like, look what
Yeah.
we're doing now, right?
I know, right?
Although
To
I
have been at my
will
own
say
baby
this, I
shower.
was just going to say to you, I think you actually avoided it. I have been to a Zoom baby shower
Oh,
And it is one of the most uncomfortable experiences because no one's saying anything and everybody's just kind of like, are you scared? It's awful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awful. So,
Or everybody's talking at the same time.
so you got the
Yeah.
presents. You didn't have to go do weird shower games. I don't know. It feels like a little bit of a win.
Robin, you've changed my whole outlook on that memory of my
I'm here for
life.
you, Lynn. I'm here for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I did have them. My water, like seriously, it was a great pregnancy up to that point. And then I remember I went to the doctor and I had gained like 10 pounds in 7 days and my blood pressure was up. And so he said, we're just going to make an appointment. You're done. You're going to be at 36 weeks on Sunday. So let's make an appointment for Tuesday. We're going to have these kids. Oh, this is great. This was the Friday before.
Yeah.
So I looked at my ex and I said, we are getting out of the house. I said, I see the light at the end of this tunnel. I need to leave this house. And we went to the mall and we went mall walking. Like I walked the mall. Gigantic Lynn walks the mall, sitting at every bench because that was exhausting. And on Sunday morning, I'm in the shower and my water breaks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter, Ellie, she was in the NICU for one night, but Eli came out guns ablazing. He was ready to go
All
And just-
right.
do this world. And it's so funny because, you talk about your kids and parenting. My kids are exactly who they were the day they were born.
Yeah.
Like today.
Oh my
They are
God. Yeah, mine
exactly the
too. Yeah, absolutely.
Mine too.
Ugh.
I mean, they're still little humans. We're still figuring them out, but I think it's the
But the
same
personalities
for us
are
too.
right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie, how old are yours?
8 and 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Robin,
Yeah.
yours are like what, 13?
About to be
and-
11 and 13. Yeah.
11 and 13.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
God bless you. God bless you, ladies.
Ugh.
Oh,
now,
man.
now you've alluded several times to this X business.
Yeah.
You got the
Yeah.
twins. Well, what
Mhm.
happened there?
I think that
As much as you
Like
want to
a-
share, obviously. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
sure. Like a lot of relationships, I think that we were just not meant to be together forever. We were not suited to be together forever. And I think that that's fine. I think now she would probably agree with that. I think at the time, we were not modeling what a good marriage or good couple or set of parents should be for their kids.
Mhm.
And it took me, like, I could put up with it when it was just myself. And I think we both sort of put up with it as long as there weren't any other humans involved.
Right.
And the day that my daughter started mimicking back the language and the tone, it was really more the tone
Yeah.
that she heard coming from my ex at me, to me.
Oh.
I said, okay, this is we're done. And I think I did share with Robin on a pre-call that at one point I sat there, was doing some dishes, and I said, can I do this 13 more years? And it was more like, can I do this to them?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Well, because first I don't know that I'd have survived it. Like it was just a, a bad relationship, and you know what those can be like, right?
Yeah.
So what I want more for my kids than anything is to understand and to be able to have healthy relationships with whoever they want to. And I was not showing them that as an example on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
And, a lot of people say stay together for the kids.
No.
And I say that is a very rare case where that is a good choice.
Yeah.
I feel like stay together for the kids and then watch your kids as they struggle through therapy as adults.
Yeah. And you're so
Yeah.
much better off
Yeah.
splitting up and being responsible and amicable
Mhm.
co-parents than you are staying together and modeling a bad relationship. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. But I mean, parenting twins in those early years, you guys, a lot of it's a blur. The first 4 years are kind of a blur.
Can only imagine.
And, I look at my parents who had 5 kids and I think, okay, I just don't even know how that happened. I don't know
I
how we
know.
all are, normal, regular, productive members of society right now.
I think the same thing all the time. How did they do it? How did the ones that had multiple kids do it? I can barely handle my 4-year-old. Like, really?
Yes.
So then let's go forward. So the twins are 4. You're having a little reckoning about your relationship, and then
Yeah.
what happens?
So we split up
Mm-hmm.
and she moves out. She doesn't remarry because at that point marriage wasn't legal.
Right.
So we never did have a legal marriage, but at that point it was legal in New York State.
Mhm.
By the time
okay.
we split up, it was legal in New York State. And so she got married to someone that she just met. It was like a really brand new relationship,
Wow. Okay.
and I was like, hey,
Good for you.
mazel tov.
Yeah.
Great. Go,
Okay.
Bait it.
go have peace in your life. That's awesome.
Mhm.
And I was a single parent for a few years, and that was ridiculously hard.
So you guys didn't so she kind of just like left the scene
You had
a
main
bit?
custody.
I maintained sole custody.
You never did this second parent adoption with her.
Oh, we did do the
Oh, you
second
did
parent
do that.
adoption.
So, okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Back then, there were all kinds of hoops we had to jump through.
Yeah.
Still.
Right.
Uh-huh.
To make sure that that we had rights to our children. I had to give up my biological rights as their biological mother and co-parent adopt them with my ex.
Oh, that's
Oh.
different. That's
Yeah.
different than
Yeah.
what we do now.
Yeah,
Just
that
one
is
of us
different.
has to adopt.
Yeah.
We don't have to give up
So
rights.
it was a little bit weird for me, but at
Scary.
the same time, we went on this journey together at that point, and I wanted her to have the rights to the children, no matter what kind of parent I thought she was.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of just the way it goes. And so for the first number of years, it was rough. And, like co-parenting was not something that I did well at all. I
Mhm.
did not do that well. I didn't have any desire to co-parent. And
Mhm.
if that makes me a bad human being, I'm sorry. Like, we all have
Well, but
flaws,
that was
I
part of the
was
reason
just
you
not-
left. So it's
I couldn't,
that would be difficult.
I couldn't, yeah, like I couldn't literally be in that same space, and had to preserve my own sort of sanity and health, needed to be like, I'm going to parent y'all here, and you're going to get visits with her, and that's going to be great. And whatever you guys do is fine. And I'm not going to keep you from her. But we're not going to go to the park together.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, we're just not.
How was it? How was it
And-
being like, if you were to say, I was hoping that we would have this rule for parenting. Can you do that as well? Or were you just like, what happens in our house? This is how I parent. You're going to get another version of parenting over there.
More the latter. I mean, I think that there were a few times where my ex and I would sit down and talk about things, and 90% of the time we would disagree on the approach.
Mm.
And so
That's
it was tough. And I, I hope the kids understand that there are lots of different ways that you can be a parent, and it's up to you now to choose, moving forward with your two very different parental experiences, what you want to do for your own kids.
Mhm.
Like, but I just had to do it my way. I had to do it my way when they were with me, which was most of the time.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That probably made it easier. If it had been a split 50-50, that might have been more difficult because they would have had half their lives going one way and half their lives going another way.
Right. Exactly. So, it's like a bad example, but when we go to mommy so-and-so's house on Saturday, we'll have tacos, and that'll be great because I love tacos. Not that I don't ever make them tacos, but so like, that's not a good example, but there would be things that they could then expect and look forward to,
Yeah.
or whatever. They could have their own relationships and their own experiences with their other parent. But
Mhm.
so I was single for a few years and loved that time because it enabled me to just ground myself and figure
Mhm.
out what I really did want in a relationship and what
Mhm.
I deserved in a relationship, and what if at some point I met somebody, then that was going to be a really huge decision, because I
Yeah.
didn't want to screw that up again.
Yeah.
And then I met my wife, Nancy, and we were friends for a while. And she was actually older. She's like 12 years older than me. So she's like 65 now, and had been married to a man for 30 some years.
Oh,
And yeah. And so
Wow.
in like 2 years time, she came out, met me, well, and maybe not even in that order,
Met you.
me, came out. I think she said, I've been struggling with this my whole life, and now I am super good friends with this woman who has figured herself out and is so confident in who she
Mm.
is.
And that's
And by that time,
attractive.
I had become that. But, that took me years.
Mhm.
Like, you don't just be confident being a lesbian like overnight.
No, you
No.
really don't.
And no, that is a journey. And
It's taking a whole podcast
well,
here.
it is for the kids. It is for the
Still working
kids.
on it.
But for us
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But, she took a very brave step in her life, and she's Canadian. So she moved here to the United States, we got married, and she was then now a stepmom. She had no kids of her own and never saw herself as a mother.
And
Wow.
it fit
Yeah.
so well. And the relationship felt so right that she just slipped right in.
She said, I'm gonna just sheer bravery.
Yeah, because twins, like
Sheer bravery.
an ex, there's a lot of stuff in that soup that she's stepping into.
So there's no question in our household who will be the most happy to send our kids away to college.
Yeah. But love
But she loves them.
Love does
Yeah.
crazy things to you. Love makes
Yeah.
you ready for a lot more than you thought you ever could,
Yeah. And she's been a wonderful, wonderful step parent to them. She has a very different parenting style than me, but it works. Like, I think it totally works. And so,
Wait, and
so,
you know what's
it's really
so
good.
cool is that
Yeah.
you guys have this like reverse thing. Like you get to send them off to college and then you two can like be alone together. It's like a whole totally for the first time. It's a different
Yes.
empty nest. It's almost like you'll step into this
Yes.
whole new phase of your relationship and get to like learn each other in a different way. I just got so excited for
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, because I'm so excited for me too. And we're gonna have date nights again,
Yes.
except they're gonna be like start at 4 p.m. and they're
Yeah.
gonna be over by like
Early bird
8
dinner.
o'clock.
That's the way they should be. Nobody needs to be out
Yeah.
past 9. Nobody. Nobody.
Yeah. And it's interesting seeing like I don't know, I'm sure that families like ours, when the kids are growing up, the children are going to experience discrimination. They're going to have slurs said to them potentially. They're going to have experiences that are very negative about what their family looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the biggest fear that I had, and they did. My son wrote one of his personal college essays on what it was like to grow up without a dad.
Oh.
And not just like a dad that's like, deadbeat dad, not in the picture, whatever, like don't have a dad.
Yeah.
There's no one that fills that role. Well, I fill that role, and so many other men in his life, teachers and other mentors have filled that role.
Right.
But he wrote about it, and it was really interesting to read.
I was going to say, was that hard to read?
I had to put my big girl pants on and just read it and be like, this is his experience. But it was, I know that there were times it's like, I took him to, his little Boy Scout troop and he quit the Boy Scouts on his own, by the way. We were in the Boy Scouts for 3 years. And at one point he just looked at me and he said, what is this whole Boy Scout gay thing? Like, what's that all about? I don't even know. I see it's on the news and whatever. And he's 8 years old or whatever. What does that mean? And I says, well, Eli, basically it means that I could never be a den mother. Like I wouldn't be welcomed in that situation. He says, well, I don't want to be in Boy Scouts anymore then.
Oh.
And he quit.
Maybe he could go make me cry again.
I know.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I mean, it's not wonderful. It's horrible that they're homophobes,
horrible,
but it's wonderful that he had at 8 that he had that protective feeling
he was
towards
like,
you.
well, then I don't want to do that anymore.
Ugh.
And I tell the story to friends of mine here at work know it very well that when the kids were in kindergarten, they were doing a Mother's Day project, and the poor kindergarten teacher is just trying to manage the classroom. And so she looks at Eli and Ellie and she says, okay, you pick one mom and you pick one mom and go off and make your craft, and that's it. Well, Mother's Day comes and the kids are like heartbroken that my son comes up to me and says, I had to choose a mom. And so Ellie and I talked about it. And so I made, this mom a gift, and I don't have something for you. So I had a conversation with that teacher
for you
the very next day. And she was wonderful. She was like, she wrote me a note later and said, you've changed the way I think about teaching kids and understanding what families are all about. And I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
A lot of times it's just not on their radar, right? Like
it's just not on their radar.
Yeah.
So then Father's Day comes a month later and she's like, so what do I do? How do I handle
help.
this? She was like,
and so
on the
she
phone
came
with me.
to you, right?
Yeah.
Which is what you do. Just
What do I do, Lynn?
What do I do?
I'm gonna call you, Lynn, when I need advice. What do I do, Lynn?
I says, they have grandpas. They can pick a grandpa.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and thank goodness it is. Hi guys, it's Jamie here just to talk to you a little bit about stress and BetterHelp. As you all know, stress shows up in all kinds of ways, especially when you are transitioning a podcast like I am right now. Ovaries 2.0 is showing up. And in a world that is telling you to do more, sleep less, grind your teeth all the time, all of the above, which I'm doing, here's your reminder to take care of yourself, do less, and maybe try some therapy. I definitely need to revisit my therapy. I'm sure I could use to talk to somebody right about now, and I think we all could. Therapy helps. It really helps to have somebody to talk to. And I love BetterHelp because I don't even have to leave the comfort of my own home. I just get on that video chat and I am chatting away right away. So you guys, BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So like I said, you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to as well. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. Give it a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. And here's the good thing. If These Ovaries Could Talk listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/OCT. That's BETTERHELP.com/OCT. Let's all de-stress a little bit. Love you guys.
Now, fifth grade was another sort of a pivotal year because they had, my kids go to like a progressive private school. So it's very diverse and it's very accepting and it's kind of a little cocoonish, to be honest, but in all the right ways. And so fifth grade, some new kids come to the class and my kids have, myself, they're from a two same gender family. And then they have their other friend, Eli, who has two moms. And then in fifth grade, their friend in fourth grade had a mom and a dad, but in fifth grade, mom is now dad. So has dad and a dad.
Mhm.
There was a transition that happened. So they're all sitting around circle and they're talking about what they had done that summer. And this is the summer that Nancy and I got married. And so Eli's sharing this story with all of his friends. Here's what I did this summer. I got to stand up in I got a new stepmom and blah, 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 blah. And some inquisitive little shit says, well, what does your dad do? Or, whatever, he was wanting to know. Yeah. Cause there's gotta be a dad. Did your dad must have gotten remarried because you now have a new stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Eli said, no. My mom got married to a woman and I have a stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
And the little shit says, well, that's weird.
Ugh.
And 4 or 5 of the other classmates immediately said, no, it's not.
Good.
I mean,
Yeah.
the bubble is important.
Yeah.
I think sometimes for our families to have them in a bubble or a space where they can see for the kids. It's helpful when you can.
And yet, I do think all the time about kids all around the country and how well are we really accepted yet and what work still needs to be done. And kids today are dealing with, while it is very normal to at age 9, 10, 11, certainly think about your sexuality and think about your gender and think about your gender expression and all of that and the pronouns, holy smokes with the pronouns. And yet I'm trying to be as progressive as I wish my parents had been in understanding the youth today and what their struggles are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it, but it's their world is not our world.
We're feeling like
Very
a couple of old lesbians who stay at home for Taco Tuesday. And we're like, what are these changes these kids are doing?
Yeah.
But it's wonderful.
It's
They have all the things we said we wanted but it's hard to process that.
Yeah, they do.
Most of the things.
Most of them do. And then you see the junk that happens in Florida and you think, oh, wait.
Yeah, that's the bubble, right?
It's sorry, I put my flag down for a second. Let me pick it back up.
I know.
Clearly
The fight is not over.
there's more work to be done.
So
it's
much
we
work.
still have to, we talk all the time about how intentional we have to be as parents. And it starts with the path and the journey and the way in which you choose to make your family. But it also continues with how and where you live and what you put into place to make sure that there is the safety around them, because we know these things like the little shit that you refer to, those kids are coming.
And even in these bubbles.
They're coming. They're in the bubble.
Yeah.
They're in the bubble.
In
with
these
our
bubbles, I've experienced statements like that from kids in our bubble,
Yeah.
But in fairness, though, there's little shits everywhere, even if your kids aren't gay. your parents. I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's like
Yes.
my old boss, we had this one coworker who was a little difficult. And let's just say her name is, Jill for this. And he
Okay.
would say, wherever you go, there's a Jill. And that's really
Yes.
true. There's always
It's
going to be,
true.
they're archetypes and there's a little shit. You got to learn to deal with little shits.
And then you realize, based on the things the kids are starting to, like my daughter came home a couple weeks ago and she was pissed off about something. And she said, that's so gay. And we were like,
my son did that. I looked at him.
yeah, she has no idea what she's saying. It's just what the kids are
No.
saying. But then you realize, interesting that the kids
Yeah.
are saying this and the parents aren't
Yes.
checking it.
I will say that like there's this like kids code switch too. And I hear how my kids talk when they're on headphones. And the one thing that kids don't ever get, or maybe they get it like at way too late of an age, that we can hear you. Like they talk in the back seat and they think we can't hear them. But the way they talk on screens, on Discord, on whatever is so different than the way they talk around parents. They know enough to do that. And that's a vernacular
Yeah.
that lives. So it may not be the parents' fault. It may not be they're coming home saying that. I mean, it
No,
may
that's
be.
true.
It may be, but it may not be.
It may not be. Obviously, I'm like a content media producer. And so I work in public media
Mm-hmm.
and for a reason. And I think that part of that is because I feel like media is the most powerful thing that this country has that can lift it up or shoot it down.
Mhm.
And our kids see it. They do still see it in the media. We're trying to make strides. We're starting to make strides, but it's just not there completely. And then I do think that there are, in what I call the underbelly, there are these folks that I think recent years have shown us they're willing to come out and spew their craziness,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? Spew their anger and spew their hate.
Yep.
And so I see that like there's a resurgence of it. And so our kids are having to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get
Right.
a platform. They get a strong platform.
Exactly. So I said to my son when he said that to me, that's so gay. I like shot him this look and immediately he was like, what do I do?
What do I do?
And I said, you just said that's so gay. And he's like, yeah, but I said, no, we're going to talk about this. That is not acceptable in this house.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I would hope that it's not even acceptable for you as a person if you think long enough about it. And, now he says it to rile me, like because he knows it's like
That's a
going to push
joke.
a button for me,
Yeah.
right? But we try so hard to have our families.
Yeah, we
don't
do.
we?
We work so hard. We're so
We try
intentional.
so hard
Mhm.
to have our
Mhm.
families. Why anyone in this world would think that we weren't worthy of that experience just boggles my mind every
Yeah.
day.
And
Come live in my house for 24 hours.
Exactly. We're
Oh.
very loving families. Even though we yell at our kids and we get pissed off, we're still
We are
loving.
we are normal families.
Yes.
We are.
We are.
And it
That's
comes
normal.
back to your point, Lynn, about
Yeah.
media and how media really shapes society and how if only they would give our families more space in the media, our lives more space in the media, then maybe the
Mhm.
rest of the world would
Yeah.
get on board and see this is nothing. This is normal.
This is so nothing.
But we're not given a
yeah.
platform.
No. You guys have created one.
Well, that's
Right.
what I was just
And
going to say. Though. I'm
I'm-
so glad that
Yeah.
you're coming and sharing your story with us today because you
Yeah.
you gave another view of representation that people can look to and say, oh,
Mhm.
that's why I'm so glad that you came and told us your story today.
Thank you so much.
Very
I'm so
glad.
glad you guys invited me.
Oh my God,
Oh,
are you
it's
kidding?
great.
Are you
We're just
kidding?
lucky to have
Oh.
you. So lucky.
I feel like you should tell people to watch all your content. Where can they
Ooh.
watch what you've done?
Oh, okay.
And also,
So I
can
will
they
do
watch the
that.
muskets?
Yeah, they can watch the Musket documentary. They absolutely can. But I work for Buffalo Toronto Public Media, and I'm in the content division. But we have PBS, we have NPR, we have all kinds of things. I just finished a documentary on Kleinham's Music Hall, which is really just a beautiful, beautiful space here in Buffalo. It's been around for 82 years. But the show with the Muskets is called Fort Niagara: The Struggle for a Continent.
And that is when the miracle of
And-
life happened.
And that is where the miracle of life happens.
I feel like
So-
everyone
in the
has to
middle
watch
of
that.
reenacting a war.
Everyone
Oh my
has to
gosh.
watch that
That is so
documentary
good.
and then picture sperm swimming
Yeah.
inside of your business.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Lynn.
Oh, Lynn.
I'm telling you.
really enjoyed talking to Lynn.
I know. She's amazing. That lady could tell a story which I mean, I guess is a good thing since that's what she does for a living.
She ran that interview. We didn't have to do anything.
She
It was
did. We were like,
amazing.
why are we here? She's like, honestly, you're actually slowing the flow of the interview. And we were like, we know.
Can you stop interrupting?
I could have talked to her for
I have
hours.
the storyboard done. I know what I'm saying.
She's like, we're in the middle of Act 2 right now. If you guys could really stop, you're slowing it down. Oh, God.
Should
Just
sat
amazing.
back with some popcorn. Yeah. I mean, just another lesbian creating great kids and sending them out in the world. I mean, who doesn't need more of those?
Right?
We need
That's
all
it.
those. All the queers need to raise the kids because we know what we're doing. That's I'm gonna say
I
that.
don't know. Do we?
Yes. I don't
don't.
know.
We
I
don't.
mean, not me.
All right. Stay in touch on the social media, people. Ovaries Talk on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If these ovaries could talk on YouTube, and you're going to support the podcast and join the community, Patreon at patreon.com/ovaries talk. Don't forget about that bonus content.
Don't forget, we're putting up that bonus content, and I'm open to putting more. You just let me know what you need. And we have to say a huge thank you to our sponsor, BetterHelp. And one more time, a huge thank you to all the Patreons who are helping us make this show. We really thank you, and we couldn't do it without you.
That's right.
And-
Now, one more, Jamie. One more together.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Like a weird,
Come
like, dog
on.
sound.
Ooh. Eggs
With ovaries out.
out. We have one more. We have
One
one more
more.
together,
One
guys.
more.
One more.
If these ovaries could talk, they would say,
Eggs, ovaries out.